Despite appearances of many of the spirits that Miko ends up seeing, I truly don't think most are bad. There's definitely been moments that have been bad, hence why most likely the guardian spirit saved her ass. But in terms of this episode outside of the teacher, who is clearly bad news and you can tell is evil, I do think everything that we witnessed in this episode wasn't a bad spirit. We went from, in terms of the shopping mall, one who was just saying, you look great in that. I feel like had she acknowledged that, it was just a helper, probably lost, felt like she had no purpose and just wants to help and kind of encourage people, similar to the saleswoman, she very well might have passed on. You had the slasher in the subway, which I was like, there's no way I'm going to acknowledge that as being good. But as it was going down the line and slashing people, when it went to the woman who looked deathly ill, like she was gonna die in a month's time, he slashed, pulled some spirit out, and put it in his bag, and seemingly her health improved immediately after the attack. And something that I've been questioning for quite some time, as many, if someone can see these spirits and they attack, would they be hurt? And we see in this episode, Miko got an axe to the head, and she was fine. And then we had the vending machine person who, looked kind of disgusting, but nothing really said to me that it was going to eat her, but more so just wanted the food. And probably because of, the desire to food, that's kind of how it corrupted the image. There was seemingly someone who passed away at the corner. There was kind of a burial memorial there, wanting someone to help. Nothing about it gave me the impression that they were out to hurt people, but either wanted to help or be saved themselves. And that's a really interesting concept because from our perspective, we get to have a bit more of a bird's eye view to look at Miko's situation and observe, should she acknowledge them or should she run away? And honestly, it's kind of a coin toss depending on each situation. In terms of the person at the death site there wanting to be helped, I think she probably should have helped that person. The person who was kind of acknowledging and trying to help say hey, you look great in that, probably could acknowledge that. The axe person, and I think maybe the big boy at the vending machine, you probably are best ignoring those, but I don't think they were harmful per se. But from her perspective, this is pretty much all new to her. She immediately was thrown into this lifestyle and is basically needing to buy new underwear because she is so damn scared of the shit she sees. But she's acknowledging that maybe she should look at them and maybe try to help them. Because usually in shows like these, you kind of have the mediums, the ones who can talk to the dead to help them move on. But when you see the things that she sees, it's understandable why it's taking her a bit longer to maybe reach the point of helping those pass on. And maybe once she does, that's when things will get easier for her. But at the same time, you might be able to argue they'll get worse because not all are going to be nice spirits. And once one sees, it's very possible 100 from the distance will see as well. But it is something that's getting my mind racing, because that subway scene, because when originally they were buying something for their mother, and the woman was saying, you look great, and on a visual level, the twisted neck, it was horrifying, but it wasn't like it was trying to hurt her. It was literally trying to compliment her to buy the dress. So my original assumption right up there, I was like, I'm wondering if this is going to be an episode that's going to try to make us maybe trust in the spirits more. So when the subway scene came around, I was immediately changing my tune. I was like, there's no way someone with an axe who's walking down the line, hitting people, trying to see if someone could see them, and in return that would kill them. I was going full dark with that. From a visual level, the bag, I was like, what, is he gonna put heads in the bag? And then to see that it was actually just looking for spirits, kind of like a spirit hunter, right? And the fact that they can inflict damage, right? I mean, even though this person putting an axe through a head didn't kill, the idea that spirits can corrupt and, do harmful things. The fact that this woman was so deathly ill, and even if she wasn't on death's doorstep, she was unhealthy, and immediately after removing that spirit from her, she looked like a brand new person, like she just finally got a perfect night's rest, and any illness she might have had or bad feelings were completely gone. And the fact that they even did an even more emotional point with the baby, because there was a spirit going around their teacher, and at first, I wasn't thinking it was bad, but I thought it was a father. I thought they were going to bring up the fact that the person who impregnated her is no longer there. Wasn't even thinking about a miscarriage and how it was the first child who didn't make it to life and was basically just wanting to see the sibling and kind of bless it in hopes that it would be able to reach this world healthy and happy. And that was such a great moment. And just every moment in this episode outside of the teacher was just either wholesome or it makes your opinion of the spirits change, I find. Even the after the credits scene, right? We get to see the cat man again, who, yes, on a physical level, he also is being judged as someone who, if you talk to him incorrectly, he'll hurt you. But he's just trying to buy the right cat food, he's buying the right cake for his wedding anniversary, and it's sad to see how he's lost 2 cats and his wife, but it's his wedding anniversary, he's sharing a piece of cake with her, as he's sharing the favorite food that his cats once liked with his new cat. And that's what's so interesting, is that clearly the theme of this show is not to judge a book by its cover. Just look at the teacher. The prettiest of boys, but the most evil of scumbags. But then you look at the spirits. Look evil, look corrupt, look like they're gonna hurt you, but clearly just want to save and are unable to pass on. We've seen this throughout the show. From the old woman with Alzheimer's, couldn't really remember things, was able to help, and then the dead husband was able to pass on. There's so many points like that. And it's not to say that they're all going to be good, but in this episode, outside of the teacher, I don't think any were evil and really just needed help to pass on. Though it's understandable why Hana, when she was talking about how there was a moth on the vending machine, so she went to a convenience store to buy her soda, the fact that she just left it there, you understand why the advice is like, sometimes it is best to just leave. But I think someone who's like pretty much on a pole saying help me, or just trying to say you look good in a dress, I don't think they're bad, and maybe you could acknowledge them. Start with the smaller ones and maybe eventually work up to the bigger ones. But it is something that's frightening, because once you take that first step, there's no guarantee you can go back and pretending you don't see them, because what if they'll all realize it once you help the first one? It's hard to say, right? But I do think that will be the major turning point for her character when she finally does take that first step and tries to help people pass on, and luckily she still does have some guardian spirits. Should she acknowledge the wrong one, at the very least she is protected as it stands right now, but that will only last for so long. I really wasn't expecting to be able to think this much about a show like this. I thought it was just going to be situational, spooky scenes, and look at the spirits, they're so creepy. I mean, it would have worked for that alone. The thing that gives it so much depth is the really interesting idea of what would you do put in this situation, not acknowledging it as an anime, but your real life. Either you would fail at pretending not to see them, or you would succeed like her. But then you'd have to have that question, should you acknowledge them to help them, or is it best to ignore them? Because there's only so long you could ignore this if you're going to see this your entire life. Eventually there's going to come a point where you're just going to acknowledge them just to hopefully not have to see them anymore, even if it means you're deaf, because there's only so much a person can take when looking at some of the monstrosities that we do see in this show. I love this. This is honestly one of the best anime of this year for me. It's fresh, it's unique, it's exciting, it's terrifying, but it can also be wholesome, and it can turn characters who normally would be the pretty boy of a show into the most demonic of characters. But let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, your favorite moment, and leave a like if you enjoyed, and of course subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.